Hello Queen Vic again, Mr. Chandod here again from Year 5, and we're going to look at odd and even numbers again, but looking at larger numbers straight after this little intro. Okay, so last time we looked at odd and even numbers. We used objects to prove that numbers were odd or even. We're going to go away from those for now. Hopefully, you might have represented your odd and even numbers in different ways. So I'm just going to quickly do this table here. So odd numbers here. Here's my even numbers there. And I know them because I've been doing maths for a long time. So things like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, I made this bigger, 13, 15, 17, 19, they are all my odd numbers up to 20, and my even are the ones I can share into two groups equally. Okay, so here's my even numbers there. So look at the numbers there. Did you see a pattern? Did you find a pattern? And if you're older, you should know by now that odd numbers end with, or in the ones column, will have a 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9. And again, 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9. And so if it ends with a 1, 3, 5, 7 or 9, it has to be an odd number. If that digit is in the ones column, it will be an odd number. And on the even side, 2, 4, 6, 8 and a 0. Here we go. And again, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 0. So if it's a 2, a 4, a 6, a 8 and a 0 in the ones column, it has to be an even number. Now here's your place value grid that you can remember. So hundreds, tens and ones. So this is the column we're looking at, that column there. So I don't know, give me a number, 392. So look at that number there. Just by looking at this ones column, okay, I should know whether that number is odd or even. And looking at this here, it's a digit 2 in the ones column, so it must be an even number. But we'll look at proving if that number really is odd or even. And we're not going to use blocks because I haven't got 392 blocks. So how do you go ahead and prove 392 is even without using so many blocks? Before I jump onto that, if there's a number, I don't know, like 24, there's a real simple way to find out if that is odd or even, and it's basically looking at your 2 times table. So I know that 2 times 12 equals 24. Okay, and so for if I know that, I use my number families, and the 24 divided by 2 equals 12. So if I have 24, my total amount, and I share with my two groups, I have 12 in each group. So 24 is definitely an even number. And so we can use our times table knowledge. We also can use our division facts if we know them. And we can use division to work out where that number is odd or even. So coming back to our problem, prove that 392 is even. So we're going to use some division. So 392 divided by 2. There's a few ways to do that, and we're going to do the simplest way, which is using a short method of division. Some of us call it the bus stop method. So how many 2's are there in 3? Well, there's 1 in there and there's 1 left over. How many 2's are there in 19? We know in our 2 times table there's 9, it gives 18, there's 1 left over. How many 2's are there in 12? Well, that's 6. And so 392 divided by 2 equals 196. So that means in each group you'd have 196. And if you want to represent it in different ways, we can draw a whole part diagram there. There's my 392. Here's my two groups. I would have 196 in each one. So let's try this more simple one. So is 33 odd or even? Well, we know that in the ones column there, there's a 3, so we think it's got to be odd. But how can we improve it? Well, we can count in twos. We can use objects to help us as well. So if you count in twos, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34. So I get to 32, and then I get to 34 when I count in twos. I don't get to 33. So it has to be odd. I cannot share it in two groups. If I divide it into two groups, so if I have 33, so you can either draw it or do objects if you want to. If you want to really do the short method, how many twos are there in 3, which is with 30 there? Well, there's 1. There's 1 left over. How many twos are there in 13? Well, you count in twos, you get 6, and you got 1 left over. So if I divided 33 into two groups, I would have, there's my 33, I'd have 16 in this group, 16 in that group, and I'd have 1 left over. So this has to be an odd number. 33 is an odd number because I cannot share it into my two groups. So there you have it. You can prove a number, or you can prove that if a number is odd or even by either using objects to share between groups. You can draw it, you can divide or share into the two groups. You can use some kind of division methods to divide by 2. Use your understanding of timetables, and hopefully you can actually prove and explain why a number is odd or even. Now it's your turn. At home, choose a number or ask a sibling or an adult to give you a number and prove to them that their number is odd or even. Not just by looking at the ones column, but those little methods there, maybe using objects, dividing, sharing them into two groups, and then proving to them that the number is odd or even. And don't forget, send it to us at the usual links at the bottom of the page there, and we'll have a look at how you're doing. See you next time. So 392 divided by 2. So how many 2's are there in the number 3? Well, there's 1 and there's 1 left over. How many 2's are there in 19? I know there's 8 and there's 1 left over there. Sorry, 9.